Hello everyone, this is a different kind of video. I know I do the week by week how I'm doing with my insulin pump. Well, this one is how I change a set. I know there's hundreds of them out there and some of them are really good. So let's get started with changing your set. Firstly, what you do is you stop your insulin pump. That is by pressing menu. And then press menu again. Then it'll say stop your pump. Then you press the check mark. Now your pump is stopped. Okay, now that you stopped your pump, now you can go on and disconnect, like so. The pump will beep from time to time just to remind you that it's stopped. Now, you can disconnect your cartridge at the end. This is boring, isn't it? Okay, now that you've removed your cartridge, you can remove the little black tip that will go back onto the pump. But first, before you can remove that, you have to take off your tubing. I haven't seen other pumps that's on the outside. This one is on the outside. You screw it off. See, now it's disconnected. Now you can remove the black tip. Like so. Bloop. And now you can rewind your pump. First, you press menu until it gets to the screen. Then you press menu again and again until it says cartridge change. Then you press the tick button. Then it's going to ask you, are you sure? Then you hold it for 3 seconds and ta-da! It's rewinding. Now while the pump is rewinding, now you can take out your nifty new cartridge. It comes in a nice little packet. Every cartridge comes like this. It's got a lifty little tip at the top where your insulin vial connects. So you don't have to sit with a long needle struggling to hold on to the vial and still draw up insulin. And you get a little nifty tip. That I'll show you in a moment. And now you can prime your new cartridge just by moving up the plunger a couple of times. This is just to make sure that it doesn't get stuck when you put it in. Now you can take out your insulin. I take mine out half an hour before the time just to make sure it's a little warmer than just taking it out straight out of the fridge and using it. But before we use the insulin, I just draw up right to the end and then I attach my insulin vial. Ta-da! Now it's nice and stuck on the new fancy little tip. Now you turn it upside down, just make sure all the insulin is in, and you push up, and then you release, and magic will happen. It fills itself. Well, I fill it up till 300 units, but now I'll just draw up just to make sure I get all the little bubbles that's in there, and I will tap it until it goes to the nozzle so I can just push it back into the insulin vial. And don't freak out if this little plunger falls out. Nope, don't worry, it just screws back. So no need to worry. Now I've got 300 units in my new cartridge. Now I just remove the little plunger, take off the insulin, bloop, and now you take off the nifty little tip. And you're done. And now you can take the black tip that you took off the previous cartridge and just put it back on this cartridge, like so. And that little nifty little tip I showed you before, you just put it on. Just to make sure nothing gets in. Alright, now that you filled your insulin, now you must set it how much insulin is in the cartridge. I put in 300. There we go. And always just make sure you don't go past the number that you put in, because it cannot go back up for some strange reason. And now you check it. Bloop. Now it's going to do all the funky little tests it needs to do. And now it's time to put your insulin into your pump. But first, you never put it in before the time unless you've got your tubing on. Yes, this is my set. You open it and you take out your new tubing. So now you just screw your tubing back onto your cartridge until it's tight, just to make sure. And now you can insert it back into your pump and screw it tightly. And now your pump will say Infusion Set Prime. That's where it pushes insulin from here up your tubing up to the tip. Now you must always keep an eye just to make sure all the bubbles are there. And I was taught to hit it just to make sure all the bubbles get there. Yeah, I know. And I received really great help from Danica's channel of her changing her set. And that is always to hold your tubing upwards so that the insulin can travel uphill and that you're sure it will travel uphill. Let's infuse my set. You press and then you hold it for 3 seconds. And it is primed. Now you just press the check button again and it'll stop. And now it is time to put in your set. Mine looks something like this. It's got a little blue knob, the needle, and don't worry, this needle doesn't stay in at all. And then you get your inserter. What do? Firstly, you just push it up, then it locks. Now you take your set. Doesn't matter how you put it in, it always works. But just make sure when you push it completely down that it makes a click. You do it like this. Ta-da! Now it's in. Now you can take off the safety cap. And that is the needle and the cannula all in one. Now you can take off the tape. Just make sure you don't rip out the whole thing. That's 1. And that's 2. Now you just pull it back until it locks. There's a safety pin just to make sure you don't shoot yourself in the finger. We all know that can happen. And now you choose the place where you're going to put your set. And sorry for those graphic images. This is the old one. I leave it in just to make sure I don't put it on the same spot. So I'm going to put it on this side, right here. Take off the safety and shoot. And then you take off this blue cap. See? Easy. Now this little blue thingamabobby is the needle. You just pull it out. Ta-da! See, it doesn't stay in. And you can connect. Ta-da! And now you can remove your old set. Easy peasy. Now please remember, the needle that you took out, the safety cap that you got with the set, place that on the needle. So when you throw it in the trash, you make sure no one gets stuck with a needle. Well everyone, that was changing my set and insulin cartridge. And for everyone that's interested, I will put a link in the description and a little notation thingy right here if you want to see Danica's video of her changing her set.